ArieForce One is a world-class RMC roller coaster located at Fun Spot Atlanta in Fayetteville, Georgia, a park that is closing very soon. In fact, as of when I'm recording this, it closes in only 8 days. So in this video, I'm going to be giving you both a review of ArieForce One and a full review of Fun Spot Atlanta, because besides ArieForce One, there's not much else there. Fun Spot Atlanta is an interesting park. Once you get into the park, you can go straight up a hill to where the go-karts and ArieForce One are, or you can take a left down another hill, which brings you to the more carnival-style rides. You'll find a lot of flat rides over there, and the park's two other coasters, Hurricane and Sea Serpent. As you can tell with this footage, I went on a very low crowd day, so there was always a worker at the section of the park that would ask me and my group what ride we wanted to go on. I will warn you though, Hurricane can't operate in the rain, and since it rains off and on pretty much all the time in Atlanta, it is pretty hard to get this credit. Now, is Hurricane a good ride? Absolutely not. Some of those turns, especially the last one, are extremely painful and will definitely bang up your knees. And the other coaster, Sea Serpent, is kind of just your regular janky little kiddie coaster. I only went on 2 of the flat rides in the area, but they were both really fun. But once you go up the main hill, you'll just find a big, wide open, empty area. And if you look down, you'll notice that the pavement has a lot of cracks and has parking spaces? You've heard of parking lot coasters, but now we got parking lot parks. You'll notice these random western facades off to your right, and in those there's just an arcade and a diner. And of course, straight ahead is ArieForce One. If you take a left, that's where you'll find the entrance for ArieForce One and the go-karts. And that's pretty much it for the fun spot portion of this review. The park is pretty much just a permanent fair that for some reason has an RMC. And I went on a very empty day, so the park just felt kinda dead. You can definitely tell why this park is closing, which is pretty sad, so let's lighten the mood by talking about ArieForce One. ArieForce One is one of the world's best coasters, and it's in my top 10 favorites. After you walk through the entrance arch, you'll walk down this unnecessarily long pathway before you get to the ride's actual entrance. The queue's pretty short, it's just some switchbacks and some stairs that go up to the station. At least on the day I went, there were no groupers, so I was able to choose my own row. As for which row to go in, I would definitely recommend going in both the front and the back, but if I had to pick one, I personally do prefer the back. Operations on this coaster, at least when I went, were absolutely horrible. It was on one train, and here's the whole system that meant that it would usually average about 5-minute dispatches. After the one train pulled into the station, the ride ops would just kind of wait around for about a minute and very slowly scan everyone's wristband. After about a minute and a half, they would finally open the gates and everyone would board. Then they would very slowly check everyone's seatbelts and then very slowly check everyone's lap bars. That would take up to 3 minutes. Then they'd do a million checks, which would usually take about another minute, and then you would finally dispatch. The whole ordeal would usually take around 5 minutes, and on top of that, they were of course also running one train, which meant that it would just take forever to get on. And on top of that, they also wouldn't let anyone re-ride even when the entire station was empty. They made you walk around every single time. I hear that this isn't a normal thing, they've just been occasionally doing it recently, so I just got really unlucky. At least I think. The funny thing is though, since they stand around for a while, if you just run around real quick, you'll probably still end up being on that train, you just get an extra workout. But now, let's talk about the ride experience. After you dispatch out of the station, you'll go into the pre-lift. This one's pretty simple because it's just 2 bunny hops, but they do provide a little bit of floater airtime in the front row. After that, you'll climb up a 155-foot tall lift hill, and then you drop down 146 feet at an angle of 83 degrees. This first drop isn't really anything special, but it does provide some good sustained ejector airtime in the back row. But this next element is definitely more notable. It's what they call a Raven Truss Dive. It's basically a modified dive loop that goes through this truss structure, and you get really close to it. It is a fantastic near miss. And like I said, it's a modified dive loop, so it has this little twist going into it, which is pretty fun. After the Raven Truss Dive, you go into a speed hill. It's actually turned to the side a little bit, so you actually get some pretty good laterals on top of the airtime. After that, you go into a pretty weird 0G stall. You'd expect to get some hang time, but you actually go pretty fast through it. And for that reason, I would actually say it kind of reminds me of the 0G stall on Velocicoaster. You don't really get any hang time, but it's more of just a perfect 0G. And don't don't get me wrong, it is a very cool sensation, but I personally just prefer the stalls that deliver more hang time, like on Gotham City Escape. But after that sort of underwhelming moment, you go into one of the best moments on the ride, the Outer Bank turn. This provides some absolutely insane sustained ejector airtime. Depending on the crew you get the day you go, sometimes they'll let you have quite a lot of airtime room, and when that happens, this moment is absolutely incredible. You are out of your seat for probably a good 3 seconds. And no matter where you sit on the train, this element hits. And this is going to be a really controversial opinion, but I actually prefer this Outer Bank over the Outer Bank on Steel Vengeance. Both are sustained moments of ejector airtime, but I just feel like the one on ArieForce One is stronger. Once you exit the Outer Bank turn, you go into a double up. The first hill provides a good little pop of ejector airtime, but the second one has some absolutely insane sustained ejector airtime. After you drop down from that amazing camelback, you go into the famous arcade roll. This right here is one of the best inversions in the entire world. It very much reminds me of the Mosasaurus roll on Velocicoaster, but on this one, you are going directly over the park's arcade, hence the name. You are so close to this building, it really feels like you can touch it. I slightly prefer the Mosasaurus roll, mainly because it's a little bit whippier and goes over water, but don't get me wrong, the arcade roll is still absolutely phenomenal. After that, you go into a slight right turn and a little twisted airtime pop. I think the airtime on it's alright, but I think the whip going in and out of this element is much better. It kind of caught me off guard, and it's weirdly intense. After that, you go into a turnaround that is shockingly intense. This turnaround pulls some absolutely insane positive Gs. I'm actually kind of surprised more people don't talk about this. It reminds me of the downwards helix on Goliath at Six Flags Over Georgia. Later in the day when the ride warmed up and I started to get a little bit dehydrated, I started blacking out on this element. After that insane turnaround, you go into the most underrated part of the ride. I don't know why no one talks about the second Heartline roll because it really feels pretty much the same as the arcade roll. While you don't get that insane near miss, it is just as whippy. And after you exit that second Heartline roll, you go into another quick pop of airtime and then into the infamous quad down. These are 4 back-to-back moments of very quick and sharp ejector airtime. These were absolutely insane, and I can definitely see why it might be too much for some people. Might have even been too much for me. After that, you dive down into one final airtime pop that pops you up into the brakes. And that last airtime pop is actually pretty notable because if you're in the back row, brace yourself, it is very painful. The brakes are very sudden and very harsh, and if you're in the back row, you're still getting airtime while slowing down, and it kind of lurches you forward. So there's the layout for ArieForce One. Now, do I like the coaster, and should you go out to ride it before it closes forever on August 2nd? ArieForce One is my number 6 favorite coaster in the world, and I actually put it over Steel Vengeance.
You need to leave!
I know that sounds crazy, but I just feel like ArieForce One is overall more intense. As for the second question, well, this video's taken a little bit longer than expected, and it's actually closing today. In fact, as of when I'm recording this, technically because of the time zones, it's already closed. I'm sorry guys, I've been having a lot of technical glitches. So rest in peace, ArieForce One. This was one of the world's best coasters. So that's gonna be it for this video. Let me know in the comments down below if you ever rode this absolutely legendary coaster.